The sun was a bastard that day, beating down on us with a vengeance. But the beer was a godsend. Cold, crisp, and the perfect antidote to the sweltering heat of my in-law's backyard. Another damn family BBQ. I swear, if I have to eat another lukewarm hot dog, I'm going to scream. But I plastered a smile on my face and played the part. Happy husband, devoted son-in-law. It's a role I've perfected over the years. My name is Liam, by the way. And this is the story of how a goddamn belly button and a tube of super glue nearly cost me my marriage and my sanity. The BBQ was in full swing. Kids were screaming. Uncle Jerry was pontificating about politics again, and my wife, Sarah, was flitting around, the perfect hostess. I love Sarah. I really do. But being surrounded by her family, it always feels like I'm walking on eggshells. They're a lot. Loud, opinionated, and fiercely protective of each other. I needed a break. That's all it was, just a few minutes of peace. I spotted the hammock strung between two oak trees in a shady corner of the yard. Perfect! I grabbed another beer, mumbled something about needing air, and retreated. The beer went down smooth. The gentle swaying of the hammock was hypnotic. Before I knew it, I was out. Dead to the world. Shirt off, belly exposed to the afternoon sun. Stupid! So stupid. I woke up with a jolt, the sun having shifted, now blinding me directly in the face. A strange tingling sensation in my belly button pulled me fully back to consciousness. I glanced down. What I saw made my blood run cold. A glob of something shiny and hard was nestled deep within my navel. Super glue. Fucking super glue. Panic flared in my chest. My first thought was, how the hell? Then, the realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Daniel. Sarah's younger brother. Daniel, the perpetual screw-up. Daniel, with his harmless pranks and his infuriatingly innocent grin. I sat up, knocking the hammock into a violent sway. The glue tugged painfully. I tried to pry it loose with my fingers, but it was no use. It was like trying to detach concrete. The skin around my belly button stretched and burned. Daniel! The first roared, my voice cracking with a mixture of pain and rage. He emerged from the crowd, looking sheepish. Hey, Liam. You're up! How was your nap? I pointed at my stomach. This! What the fuck is this? He winced. That? That's just a little prank? A little prank? A fucking little prank? My vision blurred red. I wanted to grab him, shake him until his teeth rattled, but I forced myself to take a deep breath. Losing my cool wouldn't solve anything. Daniel, I said, trying to keep my voice level, you need to get this off me. Now. He approached cautiously, examining the damage. Wow, it's really stuck. No shit, Sherlock. Get it off. We spent the next hour trying everything. Hot water, soap, olive oil, even nail polish remover, Sarah's suggestion. Nothing worked. The glue remained stubbornly, agonizingly adhered to my skin. Each attempt to remove it only made things worse, causing tiny tears and raw patches around the edges of my belly button. The pain was becoming unbearable. We need to go to the ER, Sarah said, her voice tight with concern. The ER? I balked. Sarah, we're talking about super glue. They're going to laugh us out of there. Liam, you're in pain, and it's tearing your skin. We can't just leave it. She was right. I knew she was right. But the thought of the ER, the cost, our insurance deductible, it all made my stomach churn. Our insurance had a $1,000 copay. $1,000 because Daniel thought it would be funny to glue my goddamn belly button shut, but I had no choice. The pain was too much. Sarah drove me to the nearest hospital. The waiting room was a symphony of coughs, whimpers, and beeping machines. We sat there for what felt like an eternity, me clutching my stomach, trying to ignore the throbbing pain. Finally, a nurse called my name. I was led to a small, sterile room where a doctor, young and tired-looking, examined my belly button with a weary sigh. "Well," he said, "I haven't seen this one before." He explained that they would have to use a special solvent to dissolve the glue, followed by an antibiotic ointment to prevent infection. The procedure was painful and slow. The solvent burned like acid, and the doctor had to carefully peel away the softened glue, layer by agonizing layer. By the time it was over, I was exhausted, my stomach red and raw, but the glue was gone. As we left the hospital, Sarah squeezed my hand. "I'm so sorry, Liam. Daniel is going to pay for this." I nodded, relief washing over me. I was finally free from the pain, but I knew deep down that this was far from over. The bill arrived a few weeks later. $2,253. $2,253 for super glue. My blood boiled. I showed the bill to Daniel. He looked at it, then shrugged. "Damn, that's rough. But I don't have that kind of money. Daniel, you caused this. You have to pay for it." "Look, man, I'm sorry, okay? It was just a prank. I didn't think it would be a big deal." "A big deal?" I had to go to the ER. I was in excruciating pain. And now I have this massive bill. I can't help it, Liam. I'm broke. I'm between jobs right now. That's when I saw red again. Broke? Between jobs? That was Daniel's default setting. He drifted from one dead-end job to another, always relying on his family to bail him out. He never took responsibility for his actions. "Fine," I said, my voice cold. "If you won't pay, I'll see you in court." His eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "Oh, I would. And I will." That was the moment the war began. The moment I crossed the line. The moment I became the villain of the family. Small claims court. The very words tasted bitter on my tongue. I never imagined I'd find myself there, suing my own brother-in-law. But Daniel had left me no choice. The courtroom was a drab, depressing space. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glare on the worn furniture. I sat at the plaintiff's table, my hands clammy, feeling like a criminal. Daniel sat across from me, looking smug and unrepentant. Sarah was there too, sitting behind me. I could feel her tension radiating off her in waves. The judge, a stern-looking woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, called our case. I presented my evidence, the ER bill, photos of my inflamed belly button, and a written statement from Sarah confirming that Daniel had admitted to gluing my navel. Daniel, in his defense, argued that it was just a harmless prank, that he hadn't intended to cause any harm, and that he couldn't afford to pay the bill. He even tried to play the ADHD card, claiming his impulsivity made him do it. The audacity! The judge listened patiently, then delivered her verdict. She ruled in my favor, ordering Daniel to pay me the full amount of the medical bill. I felt a surge of triumph. Justice had been served, but the victory was short-lived. As we left the courthouse, Sarah was silent. I could feel her anger simmering beneath the surface. "You did it," she said finally, her voice tight. "You actually sued him. He deserved it, Sarah. He caused this. I know, but he's my brother, Liam, and he's going through a tough time. So am I. I'm out $2,000 because of his prank. I wish you had found another way." Her words stung. I had expected her to be supportive, to be relieved that I had finally held Daniel accountable. But instead, she was disappointed in me. The next few days were hell. The entire family turned against me. My mother-in-law, bless her heart, tried to mediate, but even she couldn't hide her disapproval. She offered to pay the bill herself, but I refused. I wasn't going to let her deplete her fixed income because of Daniel's stupidity. The worst part was the silence from Sarah. She barely spoke to me, and when she did, her voice was cold and distant. I felt like I had betrayed her, shattered some unspoken code of family loyalty. "I don't understand why you're so upset," I said to her one night, desperation creeping into my voice. He glued my belly button shut. "How can you defend that?" "I'm not defending it, Liam. I'm just saying that maybe Just maybe you could have handled this differently. Maybe you could have forgiven him. Maybe you could have been the bigger person. The bigger person? Was that what she wanted? For me to swallow my pride, to forgive Daniel for his reckless behavior, to eat the cost of the ER bill? I'm not a doormat, Sarah, I said, my voice rising. I'm not going to let people walk all over me, and I'm not going to let you destroy our family over a stupid prank. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and accusing. I looked at Sarah, her face flushed with anger, and I realized that I had pushed her too far. I had chosen justice over family, principle over peace, and I had lost. Sleep evaded me that night. I tossed and turned, replaying the events of the past few months in my head. Had I overreacted? Was I really the villain in this story? Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe I should have forgiven Daniel. Maybe I should have just let it go. But the thought of letting him off the hook, of letting him continue to act without consequence, made my blood boil all over again. I was trapped, caught between my principles and my family, and I didn't see any way out. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Sarah was gone. A note lay on the pillow. I need some time, it read. I'm staying at my sister's. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. My heart sank. I had broken her. I had broken us. All because of a goddamn belly button and a tube of super glue. I spent the next few days in a daze. The house felt empty and cold without Sarah. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I left messages, begging her to come home, but she didn't respond. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there and watch my marriage crumble. But what could I do? How could I fix this? The answer when it came was unexpected. It came in the form of a phone call from Daniel. Liam? He said, his voice subdued. Can we talk? I hesitated. Talking to Daniel was the last thing I wanted to do, but I knew I had to hear him out. If there was any chance of salvaging my marriage, I had to be willing to listen. All right, I said. Where? We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. The atmosphere was bustling, but we found a quiet corner table. Daniel looked tired and worn. The weight of the situation seemed to have finally sunk in. Look, Liam, he began, his voice sincere. I messed up. Big time. I know that now. I waited, skeptical. I was being an idiot. I wasn't thinking about the consequences of my actions. I just wanted to make you laugh, I guess. But it was a stupid, immature thing to do. And I'm really, really sorry. His apology sounded genuine. For the first time, I saw a flicker of remorse in his eyes. It's not just about the money, is it? He continued. It's about the principle. About me not taking responsibility for my mistakes. And you're right. I haven't been. I've always relied on everyone else to clean up my messes. He paused, taking a deep breath. I don't have the money to pay you back right now. But I will. I promise. I'll get a second job if I have to. I'll work my ass off until I've paid every single penny. I stared at him, surprised. This was a different Daniel than the one I knew. He seemed humbled, and I'm sorry for what this has done to your marriage, he added, his voice barely a whisper. Sarah loves you, and I know I've put a strain on your relationship. I never wanted that to happen. He looked up at me, his eyes pleading. Is there anything I can do to fix things? Anything at all? I thought about Sarah, about her pain and disappointment. I thought about the rift in the family, the cold silence, the shattered trust, and I realized that Daniel was right. This wasn't just about the money. It was about something much bigger. There is one thing, I said slowly. His eyes lit up. Anything, talk to Sarah, I said. Tell her what you just told me. Tell her you're sorry. Tell her you understand the damage you've caused. He nodded eagerly. I will. I'll do it right now. He pulled out his phone and called Sarah. I could hear snippets of their conversation, his sincere apology, her hesitant forgiveness. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was a start. When he hung up, his face was etched with relief. She said she'd think about it. She said she needed time. but she didn't hang up on me. I managed a weak smile. That's progress. What about you, Liam? He asked. Can you ever forgive me? I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw not just a screw-up, but a flawed, imperfect human being trying to do the right thing. I don't know, Daniel, I said honestly, but I'm willing to try. We sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the past few months hanging heavy between us. Then Daniel did something unexpected. He reached across the table and extended his hand. Truce? He asked. I hesitated, then shook his hand. Truce. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was a start, a fragile, tentative step towards healing. I drove to Sarah's sister's house that evening. I was nervous, unsure of what to expect. I didn't know if she would even see me. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding in my chest. Sarah opened it, her eyes red and swollen. Liam, she said softly. Sarah, I replied. Can we talk? She hesitated, then nodded. She led me inside. We sat on the couch, a chasm of unspoken words separating us. The silence stretched on, thick and uncomfortable. Finally, I broke the silence. I'm sorry, Sarah, I said, my voice raw with emotion. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for putting you in this position. I'm sorry for hurting you. Tears welled up in her eyes. I was so angry, Liam. I felt like you were choosing pride over family, like you didn't care about my feelings. I do care about your feelings, Sarah. More than anything. I felt like I had to stand up for myself. I felt like if I didn't, I would be letting everyone walk all over me. I know, she said softly. I understand. But there are other ways to handle things, Liam. You don't have to resort to lawsuits and ultimatums. She was right. I knew she was right. I had let my anger and pride get the better of me. I had reacted instead of responding. I had chosen conflict over compromise. I was wrong, I said. I should have talked to you more. I should have listened to your concerns. I should have tried to find a solution that worked for everyone. It's not just you, Liam, she said. Daniel was wrong too. He needs to take responsibility for his actions. And I think he finally understands that. I told her about my conversation with Daniel, about his sincere apology and his commitment to paying me back. Her eyes softened. He told me the same thing. He sounded different. Like he finally grew up? Maybe he did, I said. We talked for hours that night. We talked about our feelings, our fears, our hopes for the future. We talked about the importance of communication, of compromise, of forgiveness. Slowly, gradually, the tension between us began to dissipate. The anger and resentment began to fade. We started to see each other again, not as adversaries, but as partners. As a team. I need time, Liam, Sarah said finally. I need time to heal. I need time to rebuild my trust in you. I understand, I said. I'll give you all the time you need. I left her sister's house that night feeling hopeful, but also apprehensive. I knew that rebuilding our relationship would be a long and difficult process, but I was willing to do whatever it took. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and I started spending more time together. We went for walks in the park. We had dinner at our favorite restaurant. We watched movies at home. We talked, we laughed, we cried. We also started going to couples counseling. It was awkward and uncomfortable at first, but it helped us to communicate more effectively and to understand each other's perspectives. Slowly, gradually, our relationship began to heal. The wounds began to close. The trust began to rebuild. One evening, as we were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, Sarah turned to me and smiled. I think I'm ready to come home, she said. My heart soared. Really? She nodded. I miss our home. I miss our life together. I miss you. I wrapped my arms around her and held her tight. I miss you too, I whispered. The next day, Sarah moved back home. It wasn't like everything was suddenly perfect. There were still moments of tension, moments of doubt. But we were together, and we were committed to making things work. Daniel kept his promise. He got a second job, working nights at a grocery store. He worked tirelessly, sacrificing his free time and his social life to pay me back the money he owed. It took him almost a year, but he did it. He paid me back every single penny. I was impressed by his dedication and his commitment. He had finally taken responsibility for his actions. He had finally grown up. Our relationship was still strained, but it was improving. We started spending more time together as a family. We went to BBQs at my in-laws' house. We celebrated holidays together. We even went on a few weekend trips. It wasn't the same as it was before the super glue incident, but it was better. It was stronger. It was built on a foundation of honesty, communication, and forgiveness. One day, Daniel came to my house. He looked nervous and uncomfortable. "Liam," he said, "I wanted to talk to you about something." I braced myself. "What now?" "I know I paid you back the money I owed you," he continued, "but I feel like I still owe you something more. I owe you an apology, a real apology, for everything I put you through." He looked me in the eye, his voice sincere. "I'm sorry, Liam. I'm truly sorry. I hope you can forgive me." I looked at him, at the remorse in his eyes, and I knew that he meant it. "I forgive you, Daniel," I said. "I forgave you a long time ago." A weight seemed to lift off his shoulders. He smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. "Thank you, Liam," he said. "That means a lot to me." We shook hands, a gesture of friendship and reconciliation. As he walked away, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The anger and resentment that had consumed me for so long had finally dissipated. I had forgiven Daniel, and in doing so, I had freed myself. The super glue incident was a painful and difficult experience. It almost cost me my marriage and my relationship with my family. But it also taught me valuable lessons about forgiveness, communication, and the importance of taking responsibility for my actions. I learned that forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior, but about letting go of anger and resentment. It's about freeing yourself from the past and moving forward. I learned that communication is essential for any healthy relationship. It's about being honest and open with your feelings, and about listening to the concerns of others. And I learned that taking responsibility for your actions is crucial for personal growth. It's about acknowledging your mistakes, apologizing for your wrongdoings, and making amends for the damage you've caused. The super glue incident was a turning point in my life. It forced me to confront my own flaws and weaknesses. It challenged me to be a better husband, a better brother-in-law, and a better person. And in the end, it made me stronger. It made my marriage stronger. It made my family stronger. As for my belly button, well, it's still a little sensitive, but it's a reminder of the lessons I've learned. A reminder that even the stickiest situations can be resolved with forgiveness, communication, and a little bit of patience. Life isn't perfect. There will always be challenges and obstacles along the way. But with love, understanding, and a willingness to forgive, anything is possible, even gluing your brother-in-law's belly button shut. Just maybe don't do that. Time continued its relentless march, blurring the sharp edges of the super glue saga. The immediate crisis had passed, leaving behind scars, both physical and emotional, but also a surprising resilience. Sarah and I were back on solid ground, our bond tested and, arguably, strengthened by the fire. Daniel, against all odds, was showing signs of genuine maturity, a far cry from the impulsive prankster I'd initially judged him to be. But the story didn't end there. The ripple effect of that fateful BBQ continued to spread in unexpected ways. For one, my relationship with my mother-in-law, Margaret, underwent a subtle but significant shift. While she initially sided with Daniel, her offer to cover the ER bill had revealed a deep well of compassion. Over time, I sensed a newfound respect in her eyes, a recognition that I wasn't just some outsider who had married her daughter, but someone who was willing to stand up for himself and, ultimately, for what was right. We started having conversations, real conversations, about things beyond family gossip and weekend plans. She shared stories about her own struggles and triumphs, her fears and dreams for her children and grandchildren. I learned about her quiet strength, her unwavering faith, and her fierce love for her family. I, in turn, opened up about my own insecurities and aspirations, my anxieties about providing for Sarah, my longing to build a life that was both meaningful and fulfilling. I even started helping her with some of the chores around her house, fixing leaky faucets, mowing the lawn and running errands. Small gestures, but they seemed to make a difference. She started treating me less like a son-in-law and more like a son. Another surprising development was my burgeoning friendship with Sarah's sister, Emily. She had always been kind to me, but we'd never really connected on a deeper level. During the superglue fallout, she was the only one in the family who remained consistently supportive, offering a listening ear and a non-judgmental perspective. After things started to settle down, Emily and I began meeting for coffee, just to chat. We discovered a shared love of books and movies, a similar sense of humor, and a mutual frustration with the sometimes dysfunctional dynamics of the family. We talked about our hopes and dreams, our fears and anxieties, our struggles with work and relationships. I learned that Emily was a talented artist, but she lacked the confidence to pursue her passion professionally. She worked a soul-crushing office job to pay the bills, but her heart yearned to create. I encouraged her to take a leap of faith, to enroll in art classes, to showcase her work at local galleries. I even helped her set up an online store to sell her paintings. She, in turn, offered me valuable advice about navigating the complexities of the family, helping me to understand their unspoken rules and hidden agendas. She also pushed me to pursue my own passions, reminding me that life was too short to settle for mediocrity. Our friendship blossomed into something special. We became each other's confidants, each other's cheerleaders, each other's rocks. We provided each other with the support and encouragement we needed to pursue our dreams. And then there was Daniel. His transformation was the most remarkable of all. He went from being a directionless slacker to a responsible, hard-working young man. He held down 2 jobs, paid off his debt to me, and even started saving money for the future. He also started taking his ADHD more seriously. He saw a therapist, learned coping mechanisms, and started taking medication. He became more focused, more organized, and more self-aware. He even started volunteering at a local soup kitchen, helping to feed the homeless and the hungry. He found a sense of purpose in giving back to the community. One day he came to my house, a sheepish grin on his face. "Liam," he said, "I have something to ask you." I braced myself. "What is it?" "I'm thinking about going back to school," he said. "I want to get a degree in social work. I want to help people who are struggling, people who are going through tough times." I was stunned. That's amazing, Daniel." "Yeah," he said. "I figured I'd be good at it. I've been through a lot of crap in my life. I know what it's like to feel lost and hopeless. I want to help people find their way." I clapped him on the back. "I think you'd be great at it, Daniel." "I really do," he smiled. "Thanks, Liam. That means a lot." He enrolled in college a few months later. He excelled in his classes, made new friends, and found a new sense of direction in his life. The superglue incident, as bizarre and painful as it was, had ultimately been a catalyst for positive change. It had forced us to confront our own flaws and weaknesses, to forgive each other, and to build stronger, more meaningful relationships. It had taught us that even the stickiest situations can be resolved with honesty, communication, and a little bit of compassion. Years passed. The memory of the superglue faded into a quirky family anecdote, a reminder of a tumultuous time and the lessons learned. Sarah and I were happier than ever, our marriage a testament to resilience and the power of forgiveness. Daniel was thriving in his social work career, making a real difference in the lives of others. Emily was a successful artist, her work gracing galleries and homes around the world. Then, a new chapter began. Sarah and I discovered we were expecting our first child. Joy flooded our lives, but also a wave of anxiety. Becoming parents was a daunting prospect. We were excited, terrified, and everything in between. As Sarah's pregnancy progressed, my protective instincts kicked into overdrive. I worried about everything: her health, the baby's development, the financial burden of raising a child. I started reading parenting books, attending prenatal classes, and obsessively researching baby products. One evening, as we were decorating the nursery, I confessed my fears to Sarah. "I'm scared, Sarah," I said. "I don't know if I'm ready to be a father. I don't know if I'll be a good father." She smiled and took my hand. "You'll be a great father, Liam," she said. "I know you will. You're kind, you're compassionate, you're responsible. You have all the qualities of a good father. But what if I mess up?" I said. "What if I make mistakes? What if I fail?" "Everyone makes mistakes, Liam," she said. "It's part of being human. The important thing is to learn from your mistakes and to keep trying." She paused, then added, "And you're not alone. We're in this together. We'll figure it out together." Her words comforted me, but the anxiety lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to embark on the most challenging and rewarding journey of my life. The day our daughter, Lily, was born was the most magical day of my life. Holding her in my arms for the first time, feeling her tiny fingers grip mine, I was overwhelmed with love and protectiveness. All the anxieties I had felt during Sarah's pregnancy vanished. In that moment, I knew that I was ready to be a father. I was ready to love, to protect, to guide, and to support my daughter through all the ups and downs of life. As Lily grew, she brought immeasurable joy to our lives. She was a bright, curious, and energetic child. She loved to laugh, to play, and to explore the world around her. She also brought new challenges. Sleepless nights, messy diapers, and endless tantrums tested our patience and our sanity. But through it all, Sarah and I worked together, supporting each other and learning from each other. We also relied on our family for support. Margaret and Emily were always there to lend a helping hand, to offer advice, and to babysit when we needed a break. And even Daniel, the former prankster, proved to be a surprisingly doting uncle. He loved to play with Lily, to read her stories, and to make her laugh. He even started taking her to his social work events, teaching her about compassion and the importance of helping others. One day, as I was watching Daniel play with Lily in the park, I realized how far we had all come. We had overcome adversity, forgiven each other, and built a stronger, more meaningful family. The superglue incident had been a defining moment in our lives. It had taught us valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and the power of family. As I looked at my daughter, laughing and playing with her uncle, I knew that our family was ready for whatever challenges the future might hold. We had each other, and that was all that mattered. Lily blossomed into a young woman full of life, intelligence, and compassion. She inherited Sarah's warmth and empathy, and my own stubborn streak of determination. Watching her navigate the world, make her own mistakes, and forge her own path filled me with a sense of pride I never knew existed. Sarah and I made a conscious effort to instill in Lily the lessons we had learned from the superglue saga, the importance of forgiveness, the power of communication, and the responsibility to own your actions. We shared the story with her when she was old enough to understand, emphasizing the importance of empathy and the enduring strength of family bonds. Daniel, now a respected leader in his field, became a mentor to Lily. He guided her through her own struggles with ADHD, teaching her coping mechanisms and helping her to harness her unique strengths. He showed her the importance of giving back to the community, inspiring her to volunteer at a local homeless shelter. Emily, too, played a vital role in Lily's life. She encouraged her creativity, inspiring her to express herself through art. She taught her the value of self-expression and the importance of pursuing her passions, no matter what obstacles she faced. As Lily prepared to leave home for college, I felt a bittersweet mix of pride and sadness. I knew that she was ready to embark on her own adventures, but I also knew that I would miss her terribly. One evening, as we were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, Lily turned to me and smiled. "Dad," she said, "I want to thank you for everything, for always being there for me, for teaching me right from wrong, and for showing me what it means to be a good person." My eyes welled up with tears. "You don't have to thank me, Lily," I said. "Being your father has been the greatest honor of my life." She leaned over and hugged me tight. "I love you, Dad," she said. "I love you too, Lily," I replied. As Lily drove away to college, I watched her go, a lump in my throat. I knew that she was ready for this new chapter in her life. She was strong, independent, and compassionate. She was everything I had ever hoped she would be. Years passed. Lily graduated from college, landed a dream job, and found love. She married a wonderful young man, and together they started a family of their own. Sarah and I became grandparents. We were overjoyed. Holding our grandchildren in our arms, watching them grow and learn filled us with a renewed sense of purpose. As I reflected on my life, I realized that the super glue incident, as bizarre and painful as it was, had ultimately been a blessing in disguise. It had forced me to confront my own flaws and weaknesses, to forgive others, and to build stronger, more meaningful relationships. It had taught me that even the stickiest situations can be resolved with honesty, communication, and a little bit of compassion. And it had shown me that the bonds of family, though sometimes tested, can endure even the most challenging circumstances. I am grateful for the life I have lived, for the love I have shared, and for the lessons I have learned. And I am confident that the legacy of forgiveness, communication, and compassion will continue to be passed down through generations of our family. The superglue incident may have been a small, insignificant event in the grand scheme of things, but it had a profound impact on my life and the lives of my family. It was a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness or cruelty can have far-reaching consequences, and it was a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the human spirit. Years turned into decades. Sarah and I, weathered but content, found ourselves in the autumn of our lives. Lily's children, now teenagers, visited often, filling our home with laughter and the chaotic energy of youth. Daniel, still a dedicated social worker, brought his own brand of quirky wisdom to family gatherings, often reminding us of the absurdity and beauty of the human condition. Emily's art adorned the walls of our home, each piece a silent testament to the power of self-expression and the transformative nature of creativity. One sunny afternoon, as I sat on the porch, watching my grandchildren play in the yard, Lily joined me. "Grandpa," she said, "tell me the story again. The one about the super glue." I chuckled. "Oh, that old chestnut? You've heard it 100 times. "I know," she said, "but I love it. It's our family legend, and it always reminds me of how important it is to forgive." I smiled and began to recount the tale, exaggerating the details for dramatic effect. My grandchildren gathered around, their eyes wide with amusement. "And then," I said, "your great-uncle Daniel decided it would be hilarious to fill my belly button with super glue." The children erupted in laughter. "That's so gross, Grandpa," one of them exclaimed. "I know, right?" I said. "It was terrible, but it also taught us a lot about life." I paused, then added, "It taught us that even when things get sticky, we can always find a way to work things out. As a family." Lily squeezed my hand. "You're the best, Grandpa," she said. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the yard, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. I had lived a long and full life, filled with love, laughter, and a few unexpected challenges along the way. The super glue incident had been a defining moment in my life, a catalyst for growth, forgiveness, and the strengthening of family bonds. And now, As I looked at my grandchildren, listening to them laugh and play, I knew that the legacy of that sticky situation would continue to be passed down through generations. The story of the super glue would become a reminder of the importance of empathy, compassion, and the enduring power of family. And perhaps, just perhaps, it would inspire others to find forgiveness in their own lives, to embrace the imperfections of the human condition, and to never underestimate the transformative potential of a little bit of super glue. The years continued to roll by, like gentle waves on a peaceful shore. I watched my grandchildren grow, pursue their dreams, and start families of their own. Sarah and I celebrated our 60th wedding anniversary, surrounded by loved ones, our hearts overflowing with gratitude. One crisp autumn evening, as I sat by the fireplace, reading a book, Sarah joined me. "Liam," she said, her voice soft, "I was thinking about that time, with the super glue." I chuckled. "What about it?" "I was just wondering, do you ever regret it? Taking Daniel to court, causing all that drama?" I thought about it for a moment, then shook my head. "No," I said, "I don't regret it. It was a difficult decision, and it caused a lot of pain, but it also forced us to confront some important issues. It made us stronger, as individuals and as a family." I paused, then added, "And besides, without the superglue incident, we wouldn't have our family legend, would we?" Sarah smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. "You're right," she said. "It's part of our story. It's what makes us, us." As the fire crackled in the hearth, casting dancing shadows on the walls, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. I was grateful for the love of my wife, the support of my family, and the lessons I had learned throughout my life. And I was grateful for the super glue. For without it, I might never have discovered the true meaning of forgiveness, the power of communication, and the enduring strength of family. And so, the story of the super glue continues to be told, passed down through generations, a testament to the transformative power of love, forgiveness, and the human spirit. And as I look back on my life, I can't help but smile. For even the stickiest situations can lead to the sweetest endings, especially if you learn to laugh along the way. After all, isn't that what life is all about? Gazing into your own navel, finding the absurdity, and loving it anyway. The end.